What's for dinner today? Well, Kenyan beef stew and curry rice. If you'd like to help, you could cook with me. Let's give it a try. Now, there are many varieties, different versions of it. Generally, it involves beef and a variety of vegetables. So that the recipe might vary from person to person. First, after washing the potatoes, I cut them in cubes. Maybe depending on the size of the potato, I might cut them in cubes, in eight different pieces and whatnot. Most Kenyans would actually peel the potatoes, but I don't peel mine. I usually will just wash it really good. After chopping the potatoes, I will wash them again, just rinse them again in the sink with hot water, just to make sure they're really clean. And then I will fill the pot with water. Just get enough water to cover the potatoes. After this, I'll get the potatoes, put them on the stove, turn it on high, and I let it start boiling while it gives me time to prepare other things, so that by the time I get back to the potatoes, they're getting cooked already, getting nice and soft. I will chop my onion in nice small or maybe thin slices or small pieces. It really doesn't matter. I'll chop my onion at this point. I like my onions in thin slices, however way you want to chop them, just not big chunks. I will clean a bunch of cilantro, chop off the stems, and then use the entire cilantro, just chop it up in small pieces from there. Next, I will cut some meat. I will chop it in little cubes as well. Ideally, you want really lean meat, red meat. I checked in my freezer and I was out, so whatever I had there, the closest thing I had was steak, and it's a little fatty meat, so I got rid of the fat and cut the red meat into small cubes. I like marinating the beef with a little Worcestershire sauce after I finish chopping it. So back to the stove. The first thing will be sauteing the onions with oil. I like coconut oil. Really, you can use any kind of oil that you prefer. I like coconut oil better. I'll saute them till they're nice and soft. As far as the rice goes, this is the easy part. If you get the right kind of rice, this is basmati rice, and depending on how much you want to make, in this case I'm going to go with 3 cups of basmati rice. And then after measuring it, what you want to do is wash it. Just clean it, get all that white junk off. What that does is it helps the rice to not be sticky when it's cooked. All that white starch or whatever, you get rid of that, and you kind of drain it gently, and then you get it nice and clean. After you get the rice nice and clean, then I'll put the water in it. What you want to do is to get just a little bit under twice as much water as you have rice in there. So because I did 3 cups of rice, then I'm going to go with 5. A little bit under will give you that nice consistency with the rice. Now the onions are sauteed, they are nice and soft. And then I'll turn the heat down a little bit. And after that, it's ready for the beef. I'll take the beef, get it all in there. It's now marinated real good with some Worcestershire sauce. You can marinate it with anything, but it's the closest thing I could get that would give me the taste I'm looking for. A tablespoon of ginger over the beef. Generous amount there. Another tablespoon of garlic, and both the garlic and the ginger are crushed. I get them in a bottle here at the store. You can get fresh. I know most Kenyans will use fresh in this case, so I kind of cheat a little bit. After the ginger and the garlic, I'll cover the meat. I want it to simmer, just basically brown the meat here and I'll turn my stove to close to high but not quite at the highest, and then I'll be right back to check it later. Like I said, the rice is the easiest part, very simple ingredients. Once I get on the stove there, I'll turn it to high, and before I would cover the rice, I would take about 3 tablespoons of butter, and then throw the butter in there, and then I'll get salt, about half a teaspoon I guess I have here. Half a teaspoon would be more than plenty. The last ingredient of rice is 1 tablespoon of curry powder. After that, I would just cover the rice, keep it on high until it boils, then I'll turn it down to medium, just above medium after that. Back to the beef. It's nice and brown, stir it up a little bit, get it all mixing up all the flavors. It smells really good right now, all that ginger and garlic, man, nothing smells better. Make sure it's all nice and has the same consistency all over. We'll cover the pot for another 5 or so minutes here. Okay, checked on my potatoes, they're looking good. And now I get this tomatoes in. Open 1 can, just dump it right on the meat and just spread it all over. After stirring the tomatoes in this part of the stew, now I'll take my pot of potatoes, dump it all in along with the water. And this is why you don't want too much water on the potatoes, and then I'll mix all that in together, and it's looking nice and good. The potatoes are soft and they're becoming part of the stew now. After mixing it up for about 2 minutes or so, it's time to put the cilantro in. I'll spread it up on the top a little bit, and then I'll get about half a teaspoon of salt. My thing with salt is that you could always add more later if it's not in your desired taste here. So then I'll cover it, let it simmer for about 5 minutes again. Looks nice and steamy now. Stir it up, mix it up a little bit. It's all in there, and then you're getting towards the end here. So at this point, I'll go ahead and get like a generous tablespoon of peanut butter, and we use natural peanut butter. I think I went with a real generous here, and I don't just dump it in. I kind of stir it a little bit on top just to let it loosen up so you don't get chunks of peanut butter when you're biting on a stew. So I kind of let it spread immediately here, and at this point I've turned the stove down to medium from where it was in between medium and high. Actually switched the stove tops. I had picked the wrong ones for the size pots that I have. My rice looks good now. I turn it off now and let it kind of sit there. And back to the stew. The last thing that goes in is sour cream, and at this point I would actually turn off the stove. I'll do about half a cup of it. I'm estimating here, guesstimating, and we'll just stir it nicely in, let it blend in. After a good stirring, let it sit for a good 10 minutes with the stove turned off. And there you go, a nice Kenyan stew, and you eat it with the rice. So some curry rice and beef stew, and delicious. I'm ready to eat now.